Assalamu alaikum. Great to see you all. In the last 2 days, I was approached by two newspapers, the Daily Telegraph and the Jewish Chronicle, asking me for a comment of the fact that I'm going to be part of a conference of extremism and anti-Semitism. I answered that they are welcome to come today to hear my comment. So here's my comment. I'm proud to be here. I'm honored to be here. And I will be here again and again. This reaction to our conference stems more than anything else from ignorance. And part of the assignment that I hope Islam Channel, any one of you, will take in the future, apart from the sacred teachings that you are already do individually and collectively, is to teach and educate the people of Britain of the kind of Palestine and the kind of an Arab world that existed before the arrival of colonialism and imperialism to the Arab world and before the arrival of Zionism to Palestine. People should know how Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived together, believing that they were blessed to be part of the Islamic civilization, even if they held different religious beliefs. For them, this was pastoral life where people's problems were solved by dialogue, by conversation, and not by violence and terror. It is important to talk about that period, especially in Palestine, before the arrival of Zionism, because this is not just a journey into the past. This is not just nostalgia. This is a model we should aspire for in the future. There is not going to be peace. There is not going to be an end to the violent, the ethnic cleansing, the genocide, and the colonization, unless we replace the political structure that allows such policies to be enacted against the Palestinian with the same political model that existed in the past, adapting it, of course, to the present. A free country where Muslim, Christian, and Jews are equal citizens living together in the country between the river and the sea. This is something we should aspire for. This is not a call for extremism. This is not a call for terrorism. This is a call that united people around the world in the support for the struggle against apartheid South Africa. This is the kind of call that united people in the world in the support they have shown to African Americans who suffered from slavery in racism in the United States. This is a humane, universal call that says it's time for the people of Palestine too to enjoy normal and natural life in their homeland. And I believe that this will happen. And I don't say it because I'm not saying this as a wishful thinking. I have been following for more than 50 years as an academic the developments in Palestine, in Israel, and in the area around the country. What we see today, on the one hand, is the darkest moment in the history of Palestine. There's no doubt about it. It is worse than the catastrophe, the Nakba of 1948. However, there are indications in that very dark moment that something fundamental is changing in the country that is called Palestine. The project that Europe has built in the late 19th century in order to solve a European problem, and Europe had a huge problem that lasted from the mid-19th century to the mid-20th century, and that problem was anti-Semitism. Europe was plagued by anti-Semitism that resulted with the genocide of the Jews during the Holocaust. And the European solution for a European problem was to build a Jewish state in Palestine through the dispossession of the Palestinians. If you think about it, this is illogical, it is immoral, and it's not practical. The fact that it survived had a lot to do with the support of the West that did not want to face its own problem of racism, because it served also certain ideas among Christian Zionists. And unfortunately, while this support was gained, more oppression and colonialism and ethnic cleansing were directed against the Palestinians. And yes, the Palestinians did not always react peacefully, did not always react in a non-violent way. The more cruel the oppression became, sometimes the more violent the Palestinian reaction to it came. But now I think it's very clear to anyone with a modicum of decency, with anyone who knows the history, that understands the reality on the ground, that if you want to stop the continuation of the genocide in Gaza, the ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, the destruction of southern Lebanon, if you want to prevent a regional war, if you want for the benefit, and Jews and Arabs alike, to offer the people a different future, you have to adopt a different approach from the one that the political elites, the mainstream media, the mainstream academia in the West adopts towards the question of Palestine. There is no point anymore to talk about two-state solution. There is no point in believing that a Zionist state is still a viable political system that would be accepted by the Palestinians or the Arab world. We have a much better model, and I return in the end of my words to the beginning. We have a model that we don't have to buy from Europe. The nation states that were imposed on the Middle East after the First World War are crumbling, not only in Palestine, also in Syria, in Lebanon, in Libya, in the Yemen. We are entitled in the Middle East to use our own heritage, our own history, to build a different political world in which we will reenact and resurrect the relationship that were there before, the peaceful one, between Jews, Muslims, and Christians, the genuine coexistence that enabled people to celebrate the joy of the others, to mourn the suffering of the others, and to be a beacon to the world at large. Thank you very much.